Hello everyone, I am AKERELE OLADIMEJI Philip on another edition of your biology video lecture series. And how has been your week and the lecture so far? On today's edition of the video, we'll be talking about plant nutrition. How do plants feed? You agree with me that plants are autotrophs. That means they have the ability to form their own food by themselves. Alright? And the autotrophs, majorly we have the holophytic, which means they can photosynthesize, which is our scope for today. And we have the chemosynthetic, which uses chemicals to form their food. But the scope of our class today refers to the plant area, which is the holophytic. So we'll be talking about photosynthesis majorly. Yeah, photosynthesis is the process by which green plants manufacture their food in the presence of sunlight within chlorophyll in plants. Photosynthesis is essential for plants as well as animals. Yes, they need it to survive, and we also need the oxygen they give off while performing the process. Alright, this is a simple illustration of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide combined with water within this whole thing is happening within a leaf. Alright, so carbon dioxide combines with water to give us glucose, and oxygen, the chemical, is written out here. So energy is needed from the light, and this is what traps the energy. Actually, as we move on, we get to understand this more. Okay, let me be a little bit ahead to say some few things. From this reaction, oxygen is generated from this. When it's split into two by a process called photolysis, the oxygen is liberated here, then the hydrogen here is carried by an electron acceptor, which we get to see that not quite long from now, then reduces carbon dioxide to form this, to form glucose. Alright, moving on. Now, the process of photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast of plant cells in the presence of sunlight. Actually, there's some things that must be present for photosynthesis to take place. Those things are water, carbon dioxide, sunlight, and chlorophyll. Alright, those must be present. Alright, now the raw material needed for photosynthesis are majorly these two. Alright, so take note of that. And the final product of photosynthesis is sugar, which is glucose, and oxygen given off as a waste product. Now on this, I want to take note of something. The sugar is formed as glucose. It takes a lot of reaction for that to take place anyways. It's formed as glucose, then translocated by phlegm as sucrose, and stored as starch in leaves, stem, and other storage organs. Now what we mean here is this: is when we wrote the equation earlier on, we didn't write starch. What we found was actually glucose for simplicity. But you know that glucose is a monomer. When it combines together, it becomes a polymer, which is your starch in this case. So as the case may be, from the what we have here, you see that so glucose is what is formed on the leaves or the photosynthetic part. But for it to move around, it has to be changed to sucrose, and that sucrose is transported by one of the elements of vascular bundles, which is phlegm. If you've watched my video on transport system in plants, you see that phlegm is the one that is essential for carrying of manufactured food that translocate around. So then when it is being taken around, it is then stored as starch on the same leaf, on stem, in storage organs such as fruits or tubers, as the case may be. Now, this diagram here, I love this diagram so much because it's trying to make things easy for us together. Now, you know that from this equation here, carbon combines with water. How does the carbon get into the leaf? How does water get into the leaf? All right, so we have some diagrams that will help simplify that. So the water comes from what? The soil. Beautiful. Through the root hair, it goes in, then rises up the stem by what? Xylem. Xylem is the element, the structure that helps to transport mineral salt and water along the length or along the path of green plants. All right, so the water now has gotten to the leaves, all right, that way, but we need oxygen, carbon dioxide to enter. How does it enter? It enters through the stomata underneath the leaves or above the leaves, as the case may be. Some plants, some leaves have stomata on both sides. That's amphistomatic leaf, as found in monocots, while dicots have hypostomatic. That means they have stomata below the leaf, that's at the lower surface of the leaf. So this whole thing, so in each of the leaves we have what? Chloroplast. So chloroplast is what absorbs some sunlight. So the whole chemical reaction takes place within the chloroplast of the leaf. Then oxygen is given off at the end of the day. All right. Then glucose is formed. So you can pause the video to read each of these. Is something pretty simple. So oxygen, CO2 enters through the stomata. CO2 will also leave the leaf through the stomata. All right, and also through transpiration. Some water is given off during transpiration. All right. For proper understanding, it's good for us to see the organ of photosynthesis itself, which is the leaf. Now, the green parts of leaves, not just any leaf, because when some leaves are not green enough, they don't photosynthesize. So we always lay emphasis on that. Now look at this structure here now. Now usually this is the whole leaf, but the leaf, the entire part is not the one taking part in the entire leaf is not the one taking part in photosynthesis. It's on parts. So pay attention. This is the cross section of the leaf. We have the upper epidermis, mesophyll, then lower epidermis. Now this epidermis, the mesophyll is divided into palisade mesophyll. Now palisade mesophyll is the major site of photosynthesis. Why? Because it has abundance of chloroplast. Now we said earlier on that the site of photosynthesis within the leaves is actually the chloroplast. We get to see that very soon. And let me add this to you for you to understand that questions can be asked that which epidermal cell has chloroplast. This is epidermal cell. This is epidermal cell. That's the lower and upper epidermis. But you can see that there are two guard cells here. This is guard cell. This is stoma, symbol of stomata. So each of the guard cell have what? Chloroplast. So you can see guard cell with chloroplast. So the only epidermal cell in leaf that has chloroplast is guard cell. You don't want to forget that. And what does guard cell do? They control the closing and opening of the stomata. Alright, and you know that this is the very point where oxygen comes out as a waste product of photosynthesis, while carbon dioxide comes in as the raw material of photosynthesis. Alright, so you can pause the video to study this leaf. It's very good, you know this. Now this is another diagram exemplifying, showing us this is the upper epidermis with the cuticle there, palisade mesophyll, spongy mesophyll, lower epidermis again. Alright, so here this is your vascular bundle. Xylem is the one that's bringing water to this leaf. Phlegm is the one that's going to take the glucose or glucose has changed to sucrose away. All right, like we said at the introductory class. So don't forget that palisade mesophyll is majorly for photosynthesis because they have plenty chloroplast in their cells. All right, okay. So this other diagram even shows the how oxygen is going out and carbon dioxide is going in. I believe you can see that. So just pay attention. You can pause the video. The relevance of this diagram aside photosynthesis is that they can ask you to label the diagram such as this. So always take out time, pause the video, try to see if you can memorize each of the parts of the structure. So moving on, now we move to stages of photosynthesis. Now you see that here we have what we call the light stage. The light stage is essential. The light is essential for this stage. Now this light stage can also be called light dependent stage or light reaction stage, which means that it cannot happen without light. So it is so for it to take place, light must be present. So you can see, so in this process something happens. Water is broken down into oxygen, an electron, and hydrogen. All right, now which is a proton, by the help of energy obtained from sunlight. So that process of doing that is called what? Photolysis of water. This is very important. If you ask what is the thing, or what is one of the, which of the following is one of the processes that takes place during light reaction stage, that is photolysis, which is the splitting of water. So the water that has entered through the xylem will be split into two, to hydrogen, which is a proton, electron, and oxygen. And this oxygen is the one that goes off, like I showed you in the equation, which is like the byproduct or waste product to the plant. Also, adenosine triphosphate and NADPH2. Now, originally this NADPH plus is meant to be an electron acceptor. So this hydrogen proton is carried. This is originally all we have just NADPH plus. So it becomes reduced by picking up the hydrogen that has broken off here. So we'll just hold on to that. So two things that happen is energy is formed by a process called photophosphorylation. Photo refers to that it is happening through light. Phosphorylation means that you are adding phosphate group to a compound. All right. So at the end of light phase, we have formed ATP. We have formed NADPH2. Don't forget that it is original NADPH plus, but the NADP plus, but the hydrogen reduced from here must be carried by something, and that is where we have this. So these two will be used for the next phase. Before we go to the next phase, let's show you what a chloroplast looks like and what happens. This is a chloroplast. All right. Now, the light reaction stage takes place in this membrane, the membrane of these structures. Now, this is a granum. Each of these are called thylakoid. All right. You can see what they look like a coin. That's thylakoid. So, stack of thylakoid forms what we call granum. All right. So, collection of granum is called grana. So these are grana. So this is a granum, and granum contains piles of thylakoid. All right. So the site of light reaction stage is actually on the thylakoid, or say on the granum. Don't forget that. While this stroma is the space, you can see the space around here. That is where your dark reaction or light independent stage, which means it can take place without light, or light is not necessary for it to happen. So now looking at the dark reaction stage, light is not required in this process. ATP and NADPH plus that were produced in light reaction stage are utilized in this process to manufacture what? Carbohydrate. In this case, that carbohydrate is your monosaccharide, which is glucose. Now the first thing I want you to please pay attention here, CO2. Now I told you from the beginning that CO2 will be reduced, right? So CO2 from the atmosphere that has entered through the stomata combines with a substance called ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate or diphosphate. It means the same thing, present in the cell. Now, this structure, this combination of CO2 and ribulose, or we call it ribisco, is not stable, so it forms a substance called keto acid. So this keto acid later breaks into two molecules named which are 3 carbon compounds, and that compound is called 3-phosphoglyceric acid. So you might be asked that what is the first stable substance or compound formed during photosynthesis? The name of that is 3-phosphoglyceric acid. I've seen the question severally. Alright, so this is not stable, bear that in mind. Even if this is the first that is from keto acid, but it's not stable. It's the one that breaks into 3 carbons, so two molecules of 3 carbon compounds. So this, we have 2 of these. Alright, okay, so at the end of the day, what happened is that this 3-phosphoglyceric acid undergoes a lot of reaction. All of those reactions is summed up as a cycle called Calvin cycle. At the end of the day, we'll be able to form glucose after going through a series of reactions. This is not a pure A-level lecture. I've probably shown you the reaction, showing you the Calvin cycle. So at the end of the day, this 3-phosphoglyceric acid is reduced by these two, majorly NADPH plus. So this H2 is being added to this to form your C6H12O6, and to do that, energy is needed. So the energy we have formed during light reaction stage will be needed in combining this H2 with this. So all of those processes is referred to as Calvin cycle, which takes place in the stroma at this space. Alright, now what's the difference between light reaction stage and dark reaction stage? You might want to pause the video at this moment. It's self-explanatory, just read through it. Alright, just pause it. You can see each of them, the differences they have. Alright, now let's move on to some experiments. We want to ascertain the fact that starch is formed. We want to be sure that starch is formed. Is it true that starch is stored? So to do that, we carry out some experiment. The first thing you do is we'll boil the leaf to kill the leaf. After boiling the leaf, we take it out, it cools down, and that same leaf will be put into a test tube that contains ethanol. That ethanol will now be put in a water bath. When we boil that water bath, the leaf becomes decolorized. The reason why we don't put ethanol directly on the Bunsen burner is because it is flammable. It will explode. After we are done doing that, we will rinse it out. Then we will take that leaf and put it in a petri dish or in a glass slide, as the case may be. Then put drops of iodine on it. If starch is present, the leaf goes or turns blue-black. Alright, so that tells us that photosynthesis has taken place. Now we have another experiment here that shows that sunlight is needed for photosynthesis to take place. So I'll just explain that verbally. Now, looking at this diagram here, you will have a plant on its parent on the leaf. I mean, a leaf on the stay attached to the main branch or the main plant. Then one of the leaves will be covered with a strip like this and will be allowed to stay in the sun for some time. After some hours, this old leaf will be subjected to test for starch in it. Just the same thing I described in this other slide here. Yes, this old experiment will be repeated in this very experiment, this very one. So when that has taken place, this is what happens. It is this side will turn blue black, this third shaped will turn blue black, this will turn blue black, but this other part will not turn blue black. Why? Because the part has been covered, so sunlight couldn't reach it, so photosynthesis did not take place. So that is to ascertain the fact that sunlight is essential for photosynthesis to take place. Also, we'll look at another experiment to tell us that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. So this is a potted plant. Then we'll take a leaf and fix it in a jar that contains caustic soda. The caustic soda will remove all the carbon dioxide that might have entered this jar mistakenly, but we are using glass because so that sunlight can be exposed to it and every other thing, water and every other thing is coming in through here. So we have blocked. So this very leaf will not have carbon dioxide. After some minutes, we'll cut this very leaf and cut this very leaf and subject it to starch test. After doing the whole experiment, this one is meant to turn blue black and this one will not turn blue black because carbon dioxide has been taken from it, so photosynthesis couldn't take place. Then we have another experiment here that talks about importance of chlorophyll. You can see this is a variegated leaf, a leaf that has yellow and green and other colors with it. So this leaf too will be on its parent plant. Then it will stay for some hours to photosynthesize. Then we'll plug the leaf and subject it to starch test. Then see what happens. All the parts that are green will turn blue black because they have chlorophyll in them. Alright. Bear in mind that you have chlorophyll in chloroplast, not chloroplast in chlorophyll. So when I say chlorophyll, I'm also referring to chloroplast because chlorophyll is inside chloroplast. However, when you look at the differences between dark reaction stage and light reaction stage actually takes place in the granule, the thalacol membrane, yes, on some structures called chlorophyll A and B or photosystem. You can see that if you go backwards in the video, you will see that if you had actually paused that slide. Alright, now this is the last experiment showing us that oxygen is given off. Now this is a water plant, a plant say Elodia, or this is Hydrilla, that can stay in water. So what we'll do is we just put this whole setup in sun. Then after some time, bubbles of water will be seen, and that is to tell us that oxygen is being formed. So we take this glass and take it out to be sure whether the bubble coming out is any other gas other than oxygen. When this glass is taken and a glowing splint is put into this glass, if it is oxygen, it will rekindle. That establishes the fact that hydrogen is given off as a waste product during photosynthesis. Alright. Then we move on to factors affecting photosynthesis. These are the factors basically, but we'll say that sunlight is very essential. You can see that no sunlight, photosynthesis will be put to halt. Carbon dioxide is so essential. Then water. Now the more water we have, the more photosynthesis is meant to take place because water causes the gas cell to become turgid, and once it becomes turgid, it opens up. Once it opens up, carbon dioxide can easily enter. Alright. Then temperature. It is believed that photosynthesis is best between 22 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius. Any temperature below 22 degrees Celsius or above 35 degrees Celsius might put photosynthesis to halt. Then lastly, oxygen. When oxygen is too much in the atmosphere, the rate of photosynthesis increases. That means for oxygen to leave the stomach into the atmosphere, when the atmosphere is too saturated, It's probably collides with the atmosphere, then bounces back and reduces the extraction of that removal of oxygen from the leaf. I believe you've been able to get one or two things or the other from the video. Contact me and let me know if there are things you want me to do and explain more. Thank you. God bless you.